Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Se Vuelve Podcast. My name is Monica, and I want to thank you for being here. This is kind of like our unofficial season 2 finale. It's been a while since I've been able to podcast, but that's because it's been busy until this point. Today is December 29th. We're a couple days away from the new year. I wanted to kind of take this episode to kind of do like a recap, to kind of share my thoughts of the last couple of months. Specifically, I would say for the last 6 months since I've been able to do this podcast, it's been a roller coaster. It's been a lot of challenges this year, a lot more challenges that I thought that I was going to be having in regards to external things that I cannot control. I want to share a video that my friend sent me, and it kind of talks about Chinese astrology. This year, for in Chinese astrology, we are in the year of the snake, and I really like what this person says about this year. She goes a little bit more into depth than just kind of like the basic of what is being said about the year of the snake. Which I'll like preface this. So technically, the Chinese New Year is extended. It goes through the end of February. So we will still technically be in this kind of like quote unquote the year of the snake until that point. Obviously, in Western civilization, our New Year's on the 31st. But my friend sent me this, and she was like, "This is very spot on." And when I watched it, I also agreed. So I want to share this audio with you guys and see if y'all have felt the same.
I think it's the Chinese in me, but I'm getting a little bit frustrated with the videos that I'm hearing Westerners mention, like what the year of the snake basically meant. And they're always like, oh, it's about like the death and rebirth. But it's like, that's one aspect of it, but it's also the year of the wood snake. And one really interesting thing about the archetype of like the wood, in addition to like the snake. So first of all, let me start off with the snake. The snake has to do as well with like wisdom, intuition, and insight. So, and flexibility, which is a huge one. So, if you didn't like the year of the snake, maybe it's because maybe you were resistant to the growth and the change. Maybe you were holding on a little bit too tightly to, who you thought you were, how you thought something was supposed to be. But this year is about being able to expand. Like, the wisdom comes from the discomfort. I think rarely we develop wisdom from perpetual, eternal joy. I think life is about the ups and downs, the flexibility of being able to pivot and move. The other thing is also like this year was also about like connections. And maybe sometimes we had a little bit of difficulty in our communities and things like that. But did we learn to like realize that like maybe it's easier to do things together? Like that for me, even looking at that was like a really core theme of like acknowledging the ways by which people around me learn to be more in community with one another than ever before. So I think beyond just the simplified Western interpretation of this really beautiful archetype, please, please, please stop listening to the Western interpretations of things that have such like rich, deep culture that go so much beyond. Like the year of the snake is like the year of the wood snake was not just about death and rebirth. No, no, no. It was about like expansion and like how much more you can hold. And I think that if we can look at it from like a different perspective of, oh, like, oh, this year was so hard. And instead looking at it from like oh, I could make meaning of whatever it is and maybe reframe it from this perspective. Like, what can I see differently in this year if I look at it from this alternate perspective, right? In a more complex way that allows me to reflect more deeply and not just through a simplified lens of death and rebirth. Like, please, no more simplicity. I know the West loves to simplify, but let's allow for like complexity in meanings beyond just like a simple like Google search.
Shout out to my friend Marge who sent me this video, and I believe the person who created this video is named Victoria Therese. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. But reflecting on this last year, to be honest, I felt like, like I said, it was a roller coaster. I felt like it felt like a battle. It legitimately felt like a battle. I agreed with the video where it talked about the discomfort of having to be flexible, and specifically when it came to this podcast, when I first started this season, I talked about, oh, my goal is going to be 25 episodes for 2025, and unfortunately I wasn't able to meet that goal, and I had to be flexible with kind of like my schedule. I wanted to be so devoted, and I wanted it to be so perfect, I know I talked about like letting go of perfectionism last year, but I really wanted to make things happen for this year and to work really hard on them. But unfortunately, I was given like a wrench in the road or a bump in the road. I just want to say that I am grateful for just being able to do the episodes that I was able to do. It brings me so much joy to be able to have this like creative outlet and to be able to express myself and, you know, to have people kind of listen to it and then tell me like, "Oh, I really enjoyed this episode," or "This really resonated with me." It's a very very special project that is very near and dear to my heart. I also want to express gratitude for the connections that I made this year. With me working at the school, I was able to really get to know people and work with them and, laugh and almost feel like built this little community within the school with the teachers. So it was very nice to be able to experience that this year. As always, I'm always like grateful for my friends who they support me so much in this like venture and overall like in my life. And of course, like my family, thank you. And I'm kind of recycling something that I did say last year for this kind of like season finale or this like wrap up. It is currently winter. And it's funny because, last week we had what I call pretty decent weather in the sense that it wasn't freezing. And it's funny because today, specifically, we had these like crazy winds and I was not expecting snow, but then we have snow. And last year I talked about snow symbolizing purification, right? A fresh start. Also, the winter, going back to that, the winter symbolizes slowing down. Obviously, as I'm looking outside my window right now, my tree, right? There's no leaves. It's brown. It's resting. And that's what I plan to do again this time around. And I say this especially cuz I've been on the go every single day until this point. I've been doing things, cleaning, working, getting things ready for like the new year, whatever. I am going to be taking a break. How long this break, I don't know. Because last year I was expecting it to not be as long, but I am learning to be flexible and I'm going to take this time, this rest to kind of think about how I want to pursue this and if I want to change things up, what do I want to talk about? Who do I want to invite to speak with? There's so much things. I just want to say thank you to anyone who tunes in to listen. As always, I'm so grateful for even if it's just one person, a couple people. I am really grateful for, for listening to me and to giving me the platform to talk. So for this year, we are going to wrap it up here. I want to say happy holidays to everybody. By the point that when this audio comes out, happy new year or happy almost new year. Once again, thank you for listening to me this year. As always, I just want to say thank you to anyone who tunes in to listen. I would appreciate if you could leave a review and would be grateful if you could let me know what information resonated with you. Please follow and share on social media. The pages are at Se Vuelve Podcast or my personals at Se Vuelve Monica. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Nos vemos pronto. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.